Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and iOS 26 brings many new features and changes, and many of those have to do with messages. So I thought we'd talk about everything new in the Messages app for iOS 26. Now the first thing is, if we go into Messages here, we'll go into My Messages, you'll see it doesn't look too different. However, if you're messaging someone that's on iMessage specifically, you can actually change the background. So if we go and talk to my brother here, you'll see that we have an animated background going on. So with that background, it syncs across devices. So for example, if I go into the Messages app on my Apple Watch, we have the same background. If I want to change that, I just need to tap the name at the top here with the little menu underneath it. And you'll see we now have an option for backgrounds. We can choose none, a photo, color. We can use Image Playground to generate one. We can use sky, water, or aura. We're currently using aura, and if we go into this, we have a couple different styles. So we have a purple version as well as a pink version. If I go back and set purple, back on the main page here, it should sync across to my watch. Now it will take some time to do that, but the nice thing is this will sync across not just my watch, but what other people are seeing as well. So if my brother Zach picks up his phone, he's on iOS 26, I change it to purple, he'll see the same background. And like I said before, we can use Image Playground. If we go back into this, we'll go into Playground. We can then generate something based off Image Playground. Whatever we choose, maybe mountains, and maybe on a starry night. And we'll wait for it to generate that, and then it will generate the background. Of course, it will heat up your phone quite a bit, so we'll give it a second to complete this. And you'll see we have an option here where it's continuing to generate more backgrounds, but we'll just select this one for now. Give it a second. It will set that background here. It will change, and then we can use it. We can switch between different styles, of course, and we have those options. So if you have a phone that supports Apple Intelligence, you'll be able to generate the playground backgrounds. If you don't, you can use some of the standard ones. So if we go back, you'll see the background I generated there. So it's a nice little update. Also, I wanted to show you the water background as it's animated. So if we go in here, we can switch between styles. So we have an animated water background. Again, we'll select that. And then if we go to sky, same thing, we can switch between different sky options, which are all animated. I do find it a bit distracting, but it is something that's new if you want to use it. Another thing we can do is maybe we'll go into our messages here, and then we'll press the plus button on the left. We now have the option for a poll. This is better maybe when you're with a group of people, maybe in a messaging group, but you can give different choices. So yes, no, maybe. And so you could do that and then say, do you like iOS 26? And then we'll send it. And you'll see here we have a poll. So we can vote on this, yes, no, or maybe, and it will show you the different results and who actually voted on it. Also, maybe someone sent you a message before, so we'll go back here. If we press and hold, we can then go to select, and we can select just a part of the message. Before, you had to copy the entire message at once. Now we can copy it, use Apple Intelligence, look it up or translate it. And you'll see as I highlight over the options, it lights up in the background, showing what I'm actually selecting. So this is a nice little effect that we have here. And then we have different options if we just tap the arrow to the right. So we have those options. And the same is true here. As I move my finger across messages or iMessage down at the bottom, it follows my finger with a little highlight behind it and just shows what you're looking at. If we go into the keyboard here, and maybe we go into our emoji, one thing they've updated, which sort of worked in iOS 18, is if we tap on maybe the hands here, you'll see hands pressed together. It actually describes what it is for a couple seconds. If we tap this one, it says face with bags under eyes. We have this one, it doesn't say anything. If we select this one, it says a house. This one says yes, LOL. Then we have a backhand index finger pointing down. And then we have another one here, sad pensive face. So you can select each one of these and it will tell you exactly what they are with their official name. So that's something that technically is in iOS 18, but it works properly in iOS 26. And something else that should be working properly in iOS 26 is RCS messaging that's end-to-end encrypted. Back in March, Apple actually announced that it would be coming in a later version of iOS. Most likely it would be in iOS 26, however, it may not be available until iOS 26.1 or maybe even iOS 26.2. However, if your carrier supports RCS messaging and you have the option enabled in your settings, you should be able to utilize that, and hopefully it will work end-to-end encrypted with Android phones and others very soon. I think many people would appreciate that, whether on iPhone, Android phones, or something else. Within a group chat, you'll see that I still have the Apple Cash option. I can send it to someone within the group itself. We can send here or request money as well and send it within the group chat. So if we want to do that, you can then do that, show your keypad to enter more amounts, and just change it based on whatever you'd like there. Also, there's typing indicators within group chats now. So if you have someone typing to you, so whether that's me or someone else, they'll actually see the typing indicator of who is actually typing specifically. So that's a great option. And then we can more easily add a contact within a group as well. So if we want to do that, tap on your people at the top, and you'll see here we have the option to add under the group. So we'll go ahead and do that. And we can then add to the group much easier than before using our contacts or a number. Now, maybe we're in a chat and we want to delete something. If we press and hold, we can then go to More, and then we have the option to delete. We had this before, but it was just a little bit different to get into, and this is a little bit easier this time around. So we can just tap the X if we decide not to delete that information. Another option in Messages this year on Apple Intelligence-supported devices is live translation. If you have that option enabled, it can translate on the fly on your device. If I go to my options here at the top, you'll see below it says automatically translate. If I turn that option on, it then gives me the option to translate to and then from. So we don't have every language that we can translate from just yet, but basically Chinese, Mandarin simplified, French, German, Italian, Japanese, Korean, Portuguese in Brazil, and Spanish in Spain. So I'll pick Spanish here, and with that option enabled, you'll see it says translating Spanish. So if I go ahead and maybe send myself a message here, it might take a second to come through, and there it's translated in real time right away. It says this is a new message in Spanish that shows how translation works in iOS 26 and how it will work when you receive a message in a different language. So it works pretty quickly, it was right away, and it's a very helpful thing. Now I tried this earlier with Miguel from iDevice Help, and it actually didn't translate it because it wasn't enabled. So you need to make sure that option is enabled, and then it will actually translate it for you. But now that it's enabled here, I can actually speak or type, and it will translate it in real time so I can send the other person a Spanish message. So we'll try it out. Thanks, it didn't work because the option wasn't enabled, but once I enabled it, it allowed me to translate in real time like I am right now. So we'll go ahead and send that, and you can see it here. So it translated it in real time, and that's how it works. So it's great to have that option. Again, that's on Apple Intelligence supported devices though. One of the big features this year of Messages is the ability for it to screen unknown senders, but differently than it did in the past. It will also filter spam messages, and we have more control over that. First, if we go into settings, you can see that we have some options here. We have unknown senders. It says screen unknown senders, hide notifications, and move messages to the unknown senders list. We can allow notifications. We also have text message filtering, as well as filter spam. If we go into allow notifications, it gives us different categories we can enable as well, such as time-sensitive, personal, transactions, and promotions. So if you don't want to use any of these, you don't have to, but when it's enabled, it's very helpful. If I go into Messages, you'll see we have a menu in the upper right. Tap on the menu and it now says unknown senders, spam, recently deleted, and manage filtering. Based on what we've received, we'll see different messages, whether it's spam, something we've deleted, or if we go into message filtering, we can go back in here and then of course change our options as needed. But this is something that's super helpful. The only downside is maybe if you miss something, you may not realize it right away and then have to go back in and then go to a different category. So sometimes maybe you receive a code for a two-factor authentication. It may go into a different category here where you'll need to actually know from here if you're not using it on your iPhone, maybe you need it somewhere else. You may have to go into one of these options in order to see it. But other than that, it's a great way to sort of get all of the extra stuff out of the way and just focus on conversations with people you care about. Now, we also have natural language search this time around. So you'll see here that we have a search bar at the bottom. And if we search maybe for a photo of a car, it should understand that. So if we go into search and maybe just search for Tesla, see what it comes up with. You'll see, of course, it's going to find text with Tesla in it, but if we scroll down, we should see more. So you can see that here where we have different things with links with Tesla and photos as well. This works across anything you're looking for that's recognizable. It should then recognize and then give you that information. And then if we go back into our settings and scroll down to the bottom, there's a new option to send low quality photo previews. It says send lower quality previews before the full photo. Only the preview will be sent in low data mode. So maybe you're concerned about how much data you're using, or maybe you're just in an area with poor signal and it's taking forever for something to send. You can enable this and it will be easier to get that photo through or receive photos as well. So that's an option if you choose to use it. And then of course you can see we have some other options here as well that go along with the latest features, such as the conversation backgrounds start with photos visible, and you can turn off those conversation backgrounds if you really don't like them. So then even if someone else tries to turn them on, they shouldn't show up for you. So lots of nice features in iOS 26. I think some very helpful ones, some common sense ones, and that filtering is probably my favorite. Let me know what you think about the latest features in iOS 26 with messages, and if you'd like to see any other videos about specific features in the update, let me know in the comments below. I'll link this wallpaper in the description like I normally do, and if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe, and if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.